Yeah, I think so. Okay. Oh, hi guys! So today, in this video, we are here in the System Source Computer Museum here in Hunt Valley, Maryland. And we are going to be exploring fascinating technology pieces in history, such as Apple I, first Macintosh, and even the UNIVAC 490, which is of course the first supercomputer which made the first man land on the moon. Neil Armstrong. Yeah. Guys, this is a linotype which was used at the end of the 19th century for newspapers and all that stuff. And here you would write line by line your text. And then you'd have some forged lead, yes. And then it would spit out some lead here, which would make like this ingot. Then you would put eventually some text on it. Like this is a good example of a big bit of text that you would use with these lines. And this is actually text which is printed by this. And then they would just like compose this of a huge matrix. And then, as you can see here, this looks very like an actual journal. And then they would put ink on it. They would take a big paper, like a big journal. They would print it on it. And then that's how you get your journals at the time. So this is one of the first telephones ever made. By Alexander Graham Bell, the Bell Company. And from here, this thingy, you would listen to the audio, and here it would actually talk, but I'm too short, so I can't reach. And this thing is made in 1970. So here, guys, we have a switchboard, which operated for usually a woman, used to actually connect you to a call. Like, for example, if I were to call someone, I would be calling someone in operating room, which would be like, okay, who do you want to call? Then he would take one of these, connect it to the person, and then you would be in touch with the person for some time. And then when you're done, he would remove it, put it back here. And they were usually using these things that they put on their head, and they could listen here and talk here, and it was really cool. But they had to connect it because, well, it was too far usually to call without this connection. They always use it. And usually in big cities like in Paris, they had huge buildings with just a lot of women taking things, connecting here. In 1964, this was the first videophone that you could actually have, which was like $3,000. And at the time, there was the Ford Mustang, which was for $2,000. And this thing was worth more than one of the most expensive cars. So it's really crazy because, first of all, if you had this phone, you could only be calling another person which had the same thing. So it's really just rich with rich. And at the same time, you have to pay every month for the usage of it and all. And imagine that you had a real person there that you could see on the screen while calling them. Pretty crazy. Guys, this is the 1949 Tic-Tac-Toe Machine made by Noel Elliott. And, well, it's basically machine learning of tic-tac-toe. So these are all of the possibilities. He wrote them all here. I mean, these are not all of them, because there are many. But look, if I were to, for example, start here. I just turn it. And then, for example, the red is me, and the green is the enemy. And the machine learning just put the green over there. Let's say I put it let's say here. He blocks me. Here. Okay. If I put it here, then he blocks. He did another one. Then here, well, nobody won. So then you just have to put back all the switches that you made and redo everything. Pretty stiff because they're very old. But actually, that's how it works. So it's really cool, guys. So yeah, it's really cool how this very old machine is it's like one of the first machine learnings ever does. As you can see here, guys, this is the Bryant disk drive. And at the time, it could have 195 megabytes, but it was worth $12,223,704, which is quite a lot. And here you can see one of the discs, as you can see in the picture, because there were many discs inside the box. And here is one of the big platters, one of these big discs. If you touch it here, it feels very heavy. To just show you the comparison in the evolution of storage, I'm 250,000 of these to basically have the same amount of storage as one of the latest iPhones of today. Guys, you can see the evolution 60 years, because this is 4 megabytes, and iPhone of today, the latest one, is like 1 terabyte. And as you can see here, guys, it's a UNIVAC 490, which was actually the supercomputer which was used to launch Gemini and Apollo, and the Apollo 11 was the Apollo which actually landed on the moon. So as you can see here on the inside, these are all these tiny disk boards and all these things which actually help run the computer. So this is actually a lunar television camera, which was capturing the images, the first images of Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. And this is the monitor, which was connected to that camera, which was actually filming and showing what that camera was seeing on the moon. Guys, this is the first computer, the first personal computer ever made in 1962. It cost $43,000. And as you can see there, this tower is the actual, all of the discs and wires which actually have all the storage, which was like 2 kilobytes at the time. And that is nothing for today, but that was a lot at the time. And that was called the LINC, this tower there. And basically here is all of the interactions of the actual computer. And now, let's switch it on and see how it feels. Ooh. And we can't keep this for more than 30 seconds or else we'll overhear and break. So, it's very cool. By the way, guys, you can put whatever tape you want there. At the time I had tapes. And you can put whatever tape you actually wanted. Press off, we don't want to overheat. But at the time you can put any tape to have any like either code or audio or like ones and zeros, binary. You could basically put anything on tape at the time. Sure guys, this is not a coffee machine, but it is HP's brand's first computer, the 2116. And if we open here, you can see these huge circuits everywhere. And by the way, this was made in 1964. Before, guys, we could actually store information with the hard drive, we had this stuff called paper tape. You could see many of these smaller holes punched into the long pieces of paper. And actually, every column or every combination of these things made up a character. And there were 56 different characters, including numbers, special characters, and letters. And we'd actually put these in here, and then in here and there, and then it would actually process it and read it. Guys, at the time in 1965, this had 4 kilobytes of memory, and actually, this was worth what we call affordable at the time, $18,000. But then, after 10 years, this chip was made, which is basically the same thing. It has the same amount of storage and memory, but just smaller. It's the same thing but smaller, and it's only worth $100 in 10 years. In 1975. Guys, this is the CRAY one, built in 1975-76, and it is basically this huge supercomputer which was worth $70 million, and it has its built-in calc. Really nice. And actually, you should watch one of our videos with Jack Van Gara, one of the world's best pioneers of supercomputing, at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And this thing has, as you can see there, a long wire, which had the length of 30 miles of wire. As you can see here, guys, you see the wire, you see all the tiny components, all of these things, and wow, it's quite a lot. And if you go on the side, you can see all these chips here, many, like all around. And it was 80 megahertz. So here guys, we have the Apple One, made by Steve Jobs in 1977, and it was sold by $666.66. And it doesn't really look like a computer, but it's something that he used to sell as like a board that then the customer would have to deal with the keyboard, the screen, the monitor, all of that. So, to the next thing. So as we just saw the Apple One, which was made in 1977, here we can see the Apple II, which is, well, right over here. And this was sold for $1,200 and is signed by Steve Wozniak. And this was actually what you got from buying the Apple II. But then you can add like a screen, a monitor, some of these discs, things, even a joystick to play video games on your time. Very basic video games. And then you could put like programming languages, code languages like BASIC, or even here Pascal on floppy disks, as you can see here. That's one of the floppy disks that you can put in there, and then you could code. Guys, this is the Apple IIe, which was sold for $1,295, and it was made in 1983. And on this, you can actually play games. So let's try to play this very popular old game, The Oregon Trail. Let's put one turn. And basically, it's a game where, let's see how to work. Okay. One. Okay, so you can basically play games on this. Like, what is the first name of the wagon dealer? Let's say EttanEhsan. What are the first names? Are you named correct? And then it would load, and then you could actually play the game. As you can see here, guys, this is the first Macintosh ever made, and it was made in 1984, and it was sold for $2,495. And they were using these discs here, these tiny things, which you would put in there, and it's 3.5 inch in length. So cool. And it's much more compact, and there's also a mouse. And you might be wondering, what is this? Is this a click or a right click? Like a right click or left click? This is the left click. This is a click. Because at the time, they didn't have a lot of options. Here guys, we have an IBM PC-80 from 1984, one of the most popular computers at that time. And it was running Windows 2.0, right? And, well, we could do many things on this thing. Like play Tetris. By the way, this is Microsoft. Wow. Now, let's start the game. So, there are the keys. Let's go there. Where's the right? Where's the right? 9. Okay. How do you rotate again? 8. I'm not bad at Tetris, just I don't know how to use these keys. As you can see here, guys, we have the Higbee integral prototype. The prototype, because here we're supposed to have a screen, but instead we're using this monitor. And what's special about this is that we actually have an inkjet printer inside, so you can print from it. And actually here is where you put some discs. We have many here, and that's actually, imagine it's like apps on your computer nowadays. You take off, like you put one of these. Like here we have an integral game. There's some video games over here. There's a graphics card, and then you can basically do whatever you want. You can play whatever you want. So now let's actually run it. Warning: we are not the Matrix. Is that cool, guys? You can change things on the side, like brightness, contrast. But yeah, it's crazy. And then you can move your mouse. You can do all sorts of stuff. Like if you want to rename stuff, click stuff, go into files. Let's see. Try to go into one of the files. Wow. Follow the white rabbit, guys. But anyways, so this is the assembly. Actually, this is the assembly code in this. It's actually really cool because you have a functioning mouse. You can get out. You know, it's code everywhere. We change the brightness, make more bright, the contrast. It's crazy. And now let's switch it off. And let's press this button. You can see here, guys, this is the portable version of the Macintosh. And 10 years later, it wants all of these different models. Today here, we before we were using these kind of portable version of these things. They were getting very bulky, very heavy, and involved, guys. And, it's really heavy and very bulky. But as you can see, the newer the computer gets, the less heavy it is and the less bulky it is. All the way to here, a very modern computer that a lot of people use, the iMac, was made in 2008, with its beautiful mouse and very modern keyboard.